Hello Cherries fans, welcome to this opposition preview show. Today the weather is rank. It's brightening up though because Eddie is returning. I've just looked at flight radar, right? The plane that they're going to be taking from Newcastle Airport arrives at around 3:30. So if you're quick enough, you can get there and say hello to the man. But look, we're all Iraola these days. Stop talking about Eddie. All right, we will. But he's going to be coming down and wanting to temper the celebrations that Bournemouth fans will be having tomorrow in celebrating 125 years of this beautiful football club. It's Newcastle versus AFC Bournemouth. They picked up 3 points against our South Coast neighbours in the first game of the season. And how are they going to fare at Dean Court? His record against us in the Premier League, at least, is not particularly great. But we need to learn about the sentiment that fans up there have got for Eddie Howe. What do they think of Lloyd Kelly? What are the expectations this season? We need to wax lyrical and see what's going on. So to talk about it, we've got the one and only Pete Davey from Loaded Mag, the Newcastle channel, the Newcastle United fan channel. Pete, how you doing, fella? You all right?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's great to be on talking with you again. It's been a while, so looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Love the show that you did with Tom the other night. I think we retweeted it, so if you haven't checked out, just go to their channel, go and subscribe. If not, check our Twitter feed, because I thought it was a great show. Tom always waxes lyrical about Newcastle United because we've got a few connections there. But Eddie Howe has yet to beat Bournemouth in the Premier League. You beat us in the League Cup, we know that. However, in the league, it's not quite happening when you come to Bournemouth. And look, we're going to be a club that this weekend is celebrating our 125th year anniversary. So there's going to be lots of celebrations. Do you fancy Newcastle pissing on our parade a little bit this weekend, mate?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I hope we do. But we can't buy a win against you guys. It's like, I keep referring to it as the Eddie Howe hoodoo. We had one in early 2000s where we just couldn't win in London for love nor money, and it feels like we're back again because Eddie Howe just can't beat Bournemouth. And so, I'm not going into this game with any sort of confidence because of the fact that it's not the fact that we've not won at the Vitality, it's the fact that we haven't really played well there since Eddie Howe's been manager, and that's one of the biggest concerns is that the performances haven't been there. So it's for me. I'll be honest with you. I actually think this is a huge game. Like a lot of people on paper thought, Southampton at home first game, Bournemouth away second game. Great chance to get 6 points. I actually think this is a real big test. Can we go away from home? Away form wasn't great last season. Can we go away from home? Can we win somewhere that we haven't won yet under Eddie Howe? It's a big test. So it's not as easy as a lot of Newcastle United fans may assume it to be.
But in terms of a galvanising performance, I mean, in many ways, that what happened against Southampton was perfect. Obviously, you didn't want the man being sent off, but Fabian Schär was dismissed, probably rightfully so. Joe Linton scored for you guys, and you held on. The stats showed that Saints had more touches in your box, I think 48 in your box, whereas you only had about 14 in theirs, and all over the park they dominated. But that goals tally is the one that makes all the difference. So it must be quite satisfying to see you come through a game like that with not only clinging on to a point, but actually taking all three.
Absolutely. And it shows us that we've got that strength back that we had when we finished fourth. So that season, I'm not saying we were under the cosh in all of those games. We weren't. But there were games where we had to dig in deep and we had to really sort of defend really, really well, defend deep, last-ditch tackles, the lot. And we missed that last season, and it almost gave us that feeling of what we had 2 years ago, where we had to dig deep. There was clearances off the line from Lewis Hall, from Tino Livramento. There was big blocks from Dan Burn. A player that probably we're going to talk about, Lloyd Kelly, came on and made some big tackles as well. So it was a real collective team effort to get that job done. And look, as you said, the goals tally makes the difference because we know we've got the quality in the front line to put the ball in the net, and we just needed one chance to do it. And thankfully, Joe Linton, who was by far man of the match in that game. He made the difference with a great finish.
We got several connections up there, of course, with you guys, not least the management team, Stephen Purchase, Simon Weatherston, but also players that have come and gone as well. I suppose Matt Ritchie, being Ryan Fraser looks to be on his way at some point if he can sort the finances out. I know that Tom is less than complimentary about him, but I've got a little story to tell you, Pete. I haven't told this.
Go for it.
On Thursday night, there was this 125th anniversary dinner at the club. So as a podcast, I went, Tom went, a few of our team went, and there was players everywhere. So in terms of AFC Bournemouth, everywhere you look, there is a hero and there's a legend. About half an hour in, I go to the toilet, right? And some bloke grabs me, just so I'm onto the way to the toilet. Says, "Love your channel, by the way." And I turned around, I did a double take. It was Matt Ritchie. I was like, you absolutely, it's like, what? Hang on, you watched me. Like, I've watched you in a red and black shirt, in a black and white shirt, and now for Pompey, it was the most bizarre thing in the world. So yeah, I've got a photo with him.
That's amazing.
But it was absolutely super. But look, like you say, Lloyd Kelly is your latest recruit, and I think due to the suspension, he's probably going to be starting at the weekend. What have Newcastle fans made of him so far, but also your transfer activity so far? Because you're not quite there in terms of being able to spend all the money, are you? There's still a fine balance, and Lloyd Kelly was a player that you got on a free.
They're two very different questions to answer. Sam, how long have you got? But look, Lloyd Kelly first. I'd watched a lot of Lloyd Kelly last season anyway, because I'd watched quite a number of games that you played in particular. And in particular, the game against Man United at the Vitality, which, by the way, you should have won comfortably in the end. And Lloyd Kelly was superb that day. I thought he was brilliant. So when the link started to creep in, I was really excited about it. A lot of Newcastle fans hadn't really watched him and didn't really know too much about him. So from our channel's point of view, we were trying to paint a picture. I've been really pleased with what I've seen. He hasn't played all of the preseason games, the first few, particularly I think when we were in Germany, and then I believe Hull before we went to Japan. I don't think he played in those two games, but the games that I have seen him play, he's played left centre back in those games. I think he's played really well. He's looked really comfortable on the ball, technically very good, which I know anyway, and you would know. But just a powerful runner. Got a lot of pace to burn. We've lacked pace. And so I think we've really made a great addition by bringing him in. It's an interesting one. I said he might start on Sunday because we had a bit of a debate on that on our previous show. We're not quite sure that he will. And I hope he does. I actually really want him to start. I think he's what we need on Sunday, but I'm not sure if Eddie Howe will play him. So I think it's a great piece of business for us. Obviously, disappointing for you to lose him on a free. But he's got a lot of affection for Bournemouth, and he's talked positively about you. And I hope that he'll be sort of given a decent reception on his return. But in terms of our transfer business, Sam, I'm not going to lie, it's been hugely underwhelming. The one thing I've maintained all summer is that Newcastle United fans have been incredibly patient with this summer transfer window. Of course, we got Lloyd Kelly in, which was great, but we lost out on Tosin Adarabioyo to Chelsea, which was frustrating. Then we had the whole PSR debacle with losing Anderson and Minte and getting Vlachodimos in, who it's very, very clear that Newcastle United didn't want. And there's rumours he could actually be going out on loan before the end of the window, which is madness, seeing as we've just signed him. John Ruddy came in on a free. We knew he wasn't going to play. And then we got Will Asula, who not a lot of people expected about, but are excited about, which is great. He's a third choice striker. But the key things were two main targets that we were meant to bring in this summer was a right centre back and a right winger. And with less than a week to go in the window, neither of those positions have been filled. And that, for me, isn't good enough. Now, we gave the club a bit of grace as a fan base because Paul Mitchell came in and we knew he wanted time to kind of, seek out the club, have a look at the squad and just get his feet under the table before we started to get in. But that was a month ago. And no signings, apart from Willisula, no other signings in major positions have come in. So we've been incredibly patient, but, the time is now. We need to act. If we want to be having those lofty expectations of finishing in the top half, European qualification, some are even saying Champions League football, we need first team ready players to come in, and that still hasn't yet in those key positions come to fruition. So yeah, underwhelming for me.
We were saying on our preview that it's almost like Eddie peaked too soon at Newcastle by getting Champions League at the first time of asking, really, in his first full season. And last season, you garnered 11 points fewer and 3 positions lower, which obviously meant that Europe would have been on the cards had it not been for some freak result in the FA Cup final. So I certainly feel for you on that. But I've seen a lot of people doing their league table predictions and stuff. A lot of people have got Newcastle around the same sort of area, like 7th or 8th. What are the expectations for Newcastle United fans this season? Is there a prime goal, like i.e. win a domestic trophy, or just get Europe at the end of the season? What's the sentiment, and how do they feel about Eddie as well?
Okay, so it's conflicting within the fan base. You'll get some very ambitious fan base within the fan base that will say, top 4, we can get top 4. We're in that conversation. There are some that are saying we might struggle for European football. So there are varying differences of opinions. But I think generally the expectation now for Newcastle United is European football minimum. As you touched on, we were very unfortunate that Man United won the FA Cup, which, 7 out of the last 8 years, 7th place has got European football of some form.
Yeah.
So to miss out on it on the 1 year out of the 8 is really unlucky, to be honest. But minimum should be European football. That is the expectation of the club and where we want to be. We should be playing European football every year. So that is the minimum target, I think, for all Newcastle United fans. However, our targets compared to PIF's targets will be, I think, slightly different. So PIF internally, I believe, just in my opinion, that they will be targeting Champions League football. Now that, for me, is where it could be top 5. Because I actually think the English teams will do well in Europe this season, which for the coefficient will open up a 5th place. So I think top 5 is a realistic target for Newcastle United, in my opinion. And I think that's what PIF will want as well. They want to get back into the big time. And so I think there are the 2 targets that Eddie Howe will be working towards. Now, Eddie Howe's remit, and it might sound really cold, but it will be very, very simple. Eddie Howe must deliver European football. And I'm saying that with conviction because I genuinely believe, as much as I love Eddie Howe and the 99% of the fan base love Eddie Howe, is that I think if he doesn't get European football, I do believe he will lose his job. I do think he loses his job if he doesn't. Now, that's big pressure. It's big pressure, big expectations, because there's probably 8, 9 teams that are fighting for European football this season. So it's massively competitive. But it goes back to my point. You've got to give him the tools to do the job. He needs those 2 players, those 2 positions sorted. They've got less than a week to get it done. So, it works both ways. You've got to provide him with the tools to do his job, but then he's got to then go and do the business. But there, I think, roughly will be the expectations of Newcastle United, both externally fan base and internally PIF for the coming season.
I'm just looking at a few stats. Newcastle are looking to win their opening 2 Premier League matches in a season for the first time since 97-98 under Kenny Dalglish. 2 games in a row. But so whether that will happen or not, who knows? I mean, I suppose it'd be rude for me not to ask you for a prediction for this one, Pete. What are you thinking? I mean, obviously you're hoping for a Magpies win, but how are you feeling about it?
I've got to say, to begin with, the one manager that ruined Newcastle United in Kenny Dalglish is the only one that's won the first 2 games of the season. Oh my God. I'm going to stick to my prediction that I've thought through this week and what I spoke about with Tom. I think the hoodoo needs to be broken. I'm praying that it will be. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Newcastle. That's kind of what I don't think it's going to be a game where any team's going to run out and kind of steam away and win the game comfortably. I think it's going to be a tight, cagey game. I think both teams are going to feel each other out because tactically both managers are very good. But I do think there'll be goals, and Newcastle, I hope, pray, will just nick it.
I suppose these are the games really when you're looking at the fixture list at the start of the season. You're seeing the first game is against Southampton, must win. Against Bournemouth, I wouldn't say must win, but it would be ideal to get 3 points. And if you do, it certainly will bring the belief to the fan base that you can win those matches against the mid-table side. Now that's a compliment to us now saying mid-table, because I don't think we're going to be back down there. But you know what? You need to win matches like this if you're going to get European football. So I'm sure Eddie will be driving that home to the players, surely.
Absolutely. I think what you've just said is spot on. And that, you know us as a channel and a fan base. That's no disrespect to Bournemouth. I actually think you're going to have a really good season. I on other channels have put you as a club, Bournemouth, to be the surprise package. I think you'll finish in the top half this season. You've made some incredibly good signings. You've got a really good manager. You played really good football last season, even when sometimes you didn't win. You played good football doing it. And I think you're going to have a really good season. But as you've touched on, these are games where in previous years we haven't won and maybe have let us down. That is where we need to change as a club personally, and we need to win these games to show us as players, as clubs, as fans that we're going in that direction where we're going to be fighting at the top table. And so, it's a big game. I think most Newcastle fans would take a point because of the fact we haven't done well there and played well there. But obviously, with the ambitions we've got, we need to go and win. So there's a little bit of pressure on us there. But this is what, if we want to be where we want to be, we have to ride that pressure.
Absolutely. Well, Pete, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you, and I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon, whether it's on an online stream or sharing a beer over a Pop World dance floor. whatever it takes, we will be there, mate. And just remind people about your channel, because it is a superb channel.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to come on with you. Always a pleasure, Sam, and your channel is absolutely fantastic. So many of our community at Loaded Mag NUFC are subscribed to you and watch your content regularly. So you keep doing what you guys are doing because it's excellent work. But any Bournemouth fans want to consider coming to subscribe to Loaded Mag NUFC, you can probably see it in my sort of backing above me in the logo. Come and click on YouTube. We do content 3-4 times a week, live shows. Always welcoming the community. Our community welcome fans from different clubs to come in and have their opinions, and it's a great chat conversation. And everybody's welcome. So more the merrier.
Pete, thanks so much for coming on.
Pleasure.
Absolute love chatting to P. Like I said, I've met him. I have shared a beer. Well, not shared one. That'd be weird. On the Pop World dance floor when I went up to Nottingham a while back with Football's 12-Man podcast. And I tell you what, absolutely sound guy. And his channel, do check it out, because I think they've got some of the most realist opinions, very grounded when it comes to Newcastle United. So I certainly advise you check that out. This season, Back of the Net is teamed up with footballprizes.co.uk to be giving away regular Cherries prizes. Now, this month, the competition features some incredible pieces of Bournemouth memorabilia that no Cherries fan is going to want to miss. The main prize is a stunning 24-25 Bournemouth squad signed home shirt, which can be won from just £3.95. There are also, by the way, 14 instant win prizes in this competition, including an Antoine Semenyo signed and framed 24-25 Bournemouth home shirt as well. All of them come with a certificate of authenticity. This particular competition ends on Wednesday the 4th of September that evening. There are only 136 tickets left. 39 have gone so far just from our tweet. Honestly, it is definitely worth checking out. footballprizes.co.uk. There's a link at the bottom. There's a link in the little card on screen as well. The 24-25 home shirt signed by all the crew. So do check that out. If you're a Newcastle fan travelling down, safe travels. And look, we want to get some new faces on fan cams tomorrow. So if you're outside the ground around 4 o'clock, usual place, we would love to get you on and chat all things Cherries, as hopefully Andoni Iraola secures yet another W against Newcastle United. We haven't got Dom, but we might have a Brazilian, which apparently, according to Heather, is a very painful thing to have, not for us. Up the chairs.